So hi guys, this is Banu Prakash and let's discuss today about other concepts of a pipeline in Jenkins. And as of previous session, we have seen declarative pipeline, how it is working in Jenkins and how we can implement DevOps lifecycle in using declarative pipeline. So we have implemented a code, build and deploy sections. Today, we will start with Blue Ocean plugin, how we can install the Blue Ocean plugin in Jenkins, and once we install, what is the benefit of Blue Ocean, and after that we will discuss about scripted pipeline, and then we will go to shared libraries pipelines. So Blue Ocean is a plugin in Jenkins. As I told you, any kind of plugin which you take in Jenkins, which will provide additional enhancements and many other integrations to different kind of tools. So in the same concept, Blue Ocean came into picture. This Blue Ocean facility will provide you to visualize the Jenkins in a different way, rather than rather than showing the Jenkins in a normal compatible way. It will show you in a blue color screen and different way of showing the pipelines. Now, if you wanted to install Blue Version plugin, you go to Jenkins and go to Manage Jenkins, and from the Manage Jenkins, you go to Manage Plugins. In that, see you can see four boxes: updates, available, installed, and advanced. In the latest Jenkins, you will not be able to see all the available plugins at a time. You need to type the plugin name and then it will come. So just like this, you type Blue Ocean and you can see Blue Ocean plugin. Scroll down a bit and select the Blue Ocean and click on install without restart, or you can select download now and install after restart. That's up to you. So if you click on install without restart, that means the plugins will install without restarting the Jenkins. Some plugins might need mandatory restart. At that time, it will show you the warning that the Jenkins mandatory need to restart to get the installed plugin changes. So you can choose the call. When I click on install the plugin, it will show you installing the plugins, and on demand it will download the plugins from internet. So it will show you like pending instead, and once it is able to install, it will download and install in the Jenkins. So this is how it will look once you install the plugins. So if you observe, we only clicked on the Blue Version, but what are all these things? These are all the plugins which are a dependency for Blue Ocean. If you wanted to install Blue Ocean plugin, these are all plugins are mandatory and dependency plugins for Blue Ocean. If any one of the plugin is not installed, that means Blue Ocean cannot be installed properly. So we have seen when we implement a declarative pipeline, when we click on build now, it will show code, build, deploy. But when we use a Blue Ocean plugin, this is how it shows. See, it is showing in the green color. That means the build is successful, and each stage it is showing a round circle. If the particular stage is failed, that means it will show in red color and into mark. So since all the states are passed, that means it is able to show the right color and green color. What is the use of this Blue Ocean is you can visualize Jenkins in a different way, and the second one is you can select the logs of each stage separately. So once working on the pipelines, to view the logs, that means to view the console log, it is a bit difficult. But using Blue Ocean, you can see console log stage by stage separately. So these are the advantage of Blue Ocean plugin. So you can install the Blue Ocean plugin as I suggested, and you can open the Blue Ocean plugin whenever you want. If you see here, this will show, for example, DevOps Shared Library 2 is the job I opened. In that, couple of jobs are in successful state, couple of in failed state. So successful showing the green color, failed one showing in the red color with into mark. Now let's go to our concept called pipeline. In the pipeline, today we are going to see about scripted pipeline. So whatever pipeline we are going to see, the ultimate goal is to implement the DevOps lifecycle using that pipeline. So this is the scripted pipeline. As I have already explained to you, if you are able to see the scripted kind of concept like if condition and with env and a definition of some variables, That means it is scripted pipeline. This syntax we already seen in the previous session, but again we can see this node is the first parameter in the scripted pipeline. If we see the stage 1 is called code, and the stage 2 is build, and stage 3 is deploy. Whichever pipeline you take, all these pipeline will implement the same concept called code, build, deploy. Any other stage you wanted to add, you can simply copy the previous stage and paste it and modify according to your requirement. So in the code stage, I am taking the this git as our source code, and then we already know how we wanted to do the Maven package or Maven build. This is how we run Maven clean package. If it is a Unix box, then it will run this line of code. If it is Windows box, it will choose this line of code called B8 bad. So that means Maven clean package, this line will run if it is a Windows machine. If it is a Linux machine, this line will run. And in the third block called deploy, so either Windows or Linux, the curl command is common. Why am I use curl command? You can use any way of copying. So this is another way of uploading an artifact to Tomcat. What I'm doing here means I'm using a curl command and forwarding the Tomcat credentials and providing the Tomcat location, and I'm deploying the generated artifact that is called ASN or example. This we already seen, and I'm now uploading to the this Tomcat location. So if you see, there are two commands here. One is delete old package if required. You can delete the package before you can redeploy. That's up to you. So this is the second step of doing the deployment. So we will see this code in Jenkins right now. Let me open Jenkins. So to create a pipeline, you go to DevOps folder or any other folder which you have created, and click on new item and type your pipeline name. I put it as scripted pipeline and select the pipeline concept. I think it is showing scripted pipeline as already exists. So I can say it is some new, and I will go to the pipeline section. I can paste the code as it is, which I have copied from this GitHub repository. You can also do the same thing. Just copy everything from this URL and go here and paste here. Save it and click on build now. So once I click on build now, code, build, deploy. These three stages will run, either scripted or declarative or shared libraries. I will open in a blue ocean way. If I click on blue ocean, it will open a different user interface, which is somewhat different from the traditional Jenkins view. You can see Jenkins job is successful. Let me open the console log. The three stages are showing in the green color. If I click on the first stage, the console output will change here. In the same way, if I click in the second stage, the respective console output will change here. The same way, if I click on third, the respective change console will change. So you can see whichever options are implemented here. So the same code can work in your environment, but you need to make some little bit changes. For example, you need to run your Tomcat server either on localhost or any other server. You need to provide your Tomcat server IP address and port number properly and its credentials, and then it will be able to upload. And in the case of build, you need to have Maven environment. In my case, Maven environment is Maven-3, which I have defined in the Jenkins global tool configuration. So let me show you.
Pipeline as code and Blue Ocean both are similar, but in a different way.
Pipeline as code means you wanted to do the coding, like you wanted to make your pipeline through coding. Blue Ocean is different. Blue Ocean is just it will show you, it will change the user interface how your Jenkins is working. And if you wanted to install a plugin, as I showed you, you can click on the manage Jenkins, and then you can go to manage plugins, and then in the available section you can search for the respective plugin. Since I already installed the blue version, I don't think so I will be able to see here, but I can see this section in the installed one. Yeah, if I click on the installed one, the other blue version plugins might come. Those are not the actual ones. Those are some for some other purpose. This is the actual blue version plugin, blue version aggregator.
Okay.
Now, as you understood the difference between declarative and scripted, let's go the topic about shared libraries. If you see, this is a scripted one and declarative scripted. Any pipeline, if you check, if you take, it will. The main concept is to implement the DevOps lifecycle. So here in the source code, we can place our Jenkins file, or we can place our Jenkins file in a different repository. But the best practice is to keep the Jenkins file along with the source code. So in my GitHub repository, you can take the declarative from this URL and scripted from the following URL. So let's go to the shared libraries. As the name suggests, it is what it is calling shared libraries. That means it is common. So if you have 100 projects which are of same type, for example, you have Java application and all the Java 100 Java applications is using Maven as the build tool. In that scenario, you can write one common library that is called one common pipeline and implement for all of the repositories, all of the repositories of your source code, so that all of the Jenkins, all of the source code repositories can use the common developed shared library pipeline. That means since the stages are like build, code, build, deploy, these are the common for all of the repositories. We are creating the common script and keep it in a separate repository, so that all the 100 repositories can utilize this Jenkins pipeline and do their code, build, deploy activities. That is what called as shared libraries. In the shared libraries, you can invoke declarative pipeline or scripted pipeline, or you can implement OOPS concepts of Groovy language. So that is why shared libraries you can write very basic by using some kind of declaratives or some kind of scripted, or you can make it a bit complex for according to your project. It all depends on you, how you wanted to design the pipeline for your project. So the main benefit of the shared library is to make a centralized code, centralized pipeline which can be utilized by any number of projects. So some people do in a different way also. What I mean is, not only for Maven projects, what people do is they develop a common shared library. In that, the same shared library can be used by Python or Java or .NET or Conan or any other technology, so that this common shared library pipeline can be used across different type of technologies and different type of source code repositories. So that is the main use of this shared libraries. So shared library is nothing but is a common developed Jenkins pipeline can be used across multiple repositories. Those multiple repositories can have same type of language or different type of language. So I hope you understood what is shared libraries pipeline, somewhat what is the definition of it. So if you wanted to implement for the same Java application, what we can do is we can have multiple source code repositories in our GitHub, and we can have some same shared library pipeline in one of the repository. So whenever we wanted to create a build, we can invoke the pipeline from shared pipeline, and we can run our source code jobs using Jenkins. I will show you how we can do that. So these are the main two steps to implement shared library pipeline in your Jenkins. The first step is you have to go to Jenkins, click on manage Jenkins, go to global pipeline libraries and click on add. Under that you give name like library name as shared library. You can give any name, but accordingly you need to use it in the further repositories. Default version you can give master or any other branch you wanted to give. Retrial method, I have given modern SCM, you can select that. And under the source code management, you can select Git. you give this is the shared library dot get. This is the common pipeline which I have developed, and I will show you, and I will explain the code which is there, and click on the save and apply. This is the first step you need to do in your Jenkins. The second step is go to main dashboard of Jenkins, go to DevOps folder and any other folder which you have created, and click on new item. And in the item name, you can give shared library pipeline or any other name which you wanted to give. If you give shared library means you will be able to understand. And select in the drop down for pipeline. Definition pipeline script from SCM. Like this is the configuration section of that job. I will show you practically in the Jenkins after explaining this all these terminologies. Select the SCM as Git. Repository URL you can give this maven-var. This is the same var we are using since some time back. Script path you can give a Jenkins file. Once you configure these two apps, you are free to use the shared library concept. Now I will show you the same thing in Jenkins. Yeah. So this is the repository I have opened in the github.com. It is having shared library code. Now I will explain you what is shared library code in these two folders. So this is my shared library, and in that we have two folders, SRC, VARs. If you see these two folders, you can somewhat confirm that this repository is a shared library. And you can, if you open the VARs is the main one. I will open the pipeline.groovy. If you in that, you can see some code is being placed in this section. But if you keenly observe the same three stages, what I call always code and build and deploy. These three stages are being repeatedly used in any kind of pipeline which we have developed. So if you see def call, that means whoever is calling this pipeline.groovy, it will be automatically, this function can be invoked. That means this pipeline will run automatically. You see agent, it can run on any agent. And I have selected my default Maven environment called Maven-3. And after that, this is the environment definition section. So I wanted to define my repository name, so that I have given config.repo name. So these terminology you will not be able to understand right away, but you will come to know through practice. Deployment name I wanted to define, so I have defined as config.deployment name. These two variables, like these two values, will come from the source code repository. I will show you how we are passing these two values. After the environment section, you can define your stages. So the first stage I have defined as code, and that under that I have defined the steps. So I have, and after that I have mentioned clean WS. Clean WS means cleaning the local workspace. Whenever this Jenkins job is running, that means it will delete locally created workspace, and then only it will do the fresh build. Check out SCM. That means whatever the GitHub repository you are going to specify, it will clone automatically. If you see, if I place double slash means it's a comment. These three lines will not run. Whichever line is having double slash means that line will not run in the Jenkins. So, but you will get some doubt how this will clone the source code repository. The source code repository clone will happen based on how you configure Git repository in the shared library in Jenkins. I will show you that. So now let's go to the next step called build. If you click on the build, it will run. You know Maven package concept, and in the deploy, you already know how you can upload the artifacts. So the deploy name I have defined as a variable, so that these deployment names will come from a source code repository. Whichever team wanted to use my shared library, they will be able to use that. I will come out of VARs and I will go to SRC folder. I think this GitHub is a little bit slow. Yeah, I'm going to SRC folder. In the SRC folder, VRC is the main folder here, and SRC folder you can use it or don't use it. It's up to you. If you wanted to extend your shared libraries concepts, If you wanted to implement object orientation based now shared libraries, and at the situation you can go for src folder. As of now I'm not using this sample.groovy which I have placed in the src. Sample.groovy, I have mentioned very simple echo commands. So if you see, whenever I call this class called sample, this will display the code, build, deploy stages, and it will simply display some cloud DevOps training message. But I'm not using this thing, so we can ignore. But the basic concept is VRs is the main folder where we define our main pipeline, and SRC is the other folder where we wanted to extend our shared library functionalities. So this is the common shared library repositories. Whoever wanted to use, they can use. So, and this is the source code repository. Maven-var is the one repository which I have. And in the same repository, I have created a file called Jenkins file. From this file, I will only push some of the inputs. If you see here, I have mentioned a concept called library. This is the way of defining. And I mentioned shared library. This is the name which which I have defined in the Jenkins. And this is the branch which I wanted to use. Since the master branch in my case is up to date, I can use even master branch also. I'm changing this to master. And the repo name I have given Maven-var. Branch name just updated. Yeah. If you see, I have one source code called Maven-var. In that, I will open Jenkins file. In that, I have deployment name, which is defined like this, and repo name Maven-var. This is optional, and deployment name is mandatory. So now I will configure in the Jenkins. To configure shared libraries, you need to go to Jenkins main dashboard, click on the Manage Jenkins, go to what is the option I have told you, Manage Jenkins Global Pipeline WS. Okay, configure system. And so go to Manage Jenkins, go to Configure System, and then I think it is a bit slow. Yeah, under the configure system, go to global pipeline library section. Scroll down, you will be able to see this thing. So the same options which I have configured here. If you see, I have given library name as shared library. If you wanted to give different name, the same name should be used in the source code repository. Default version, it is being mentioned as feature branch one. You can mention master also. You can select modern SM as I told, and select the Git repository. So this is the main concept, main thing. Like this is the shared library code which I have. That's why I have given this URL. Click on save. Once you click on save, in this Jenkins instance, shared library repository is configured. Now the other step is to configure your job. I will go to DevOps folder and click on the new item and click on shared library pipeline. In that, I wanted to use Maven-var is my source code repository. You can give any kind of name which you like. I'll click on pipeline and click on OK. In this concept, I'll click on pipeline, and here I will select pipeline script from SIM. In that, I'll select Git. In that, I will mention the repository called Maven-var. So not only Maven-var you can mention any source code repository which is based on Java technology and which is using the Maven as a build tool. I will show you the other thing also. Just paste that URL here. And since that is a GitHub is a public one, you don't need to mention any credentials. And the script for Jenkins file is there, so that is fine. And click on save. So the main concept is here in the source code repository, whichever you wanted to use, in that it should have Jenkins file, and in that Jenkins file, it should have this library concept. I think the session is going to end right now. Please join the same link.